Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 regular closed session meeting of the EBMUD Board of Directors. Director Doug Lenny is participating via teleconference. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
I'm going to unmute everybody's mic. Director Chan?
Here.
Director Coleman?
Present.
Director Lenny? You're on mute. Can you unmute that speaker? Give us one moment, Director Lenny. And is the podium mic unmuted? Director Lenny, are you on mute?
Yeah, well, he said no, but
He's not. So all of our mics are
How about he
on.
gives a thumbs up?
It can hear us.
You can hear us, but we can't hear you. Let me see. There, okay. I see your mic is on. Can you speak now? Okay. Check the podium mic on the laptop. Give us one moment, please, Director Lenny. There is. No, it's not. It's not that. Give us one moment, please.
Is he promoted to panelist?
Not letting him through.
Director Lenny, can you hear us? Can you try to speak now? Testing, 1, 2, 3. The mics are on.
It's picking up his transcription.
Right, and it's picking you up, so give us one moment. We're gonna figure this out. There is a mic that we don't have turned on. Teo or Angelo, can you please come into the boardroom? Director Lenny is in the meeting and is on the Zoom call. Yes.
Let me check our microphones at their side.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna check the microphones and facilities. Give us one moment, please.
I guess we're not more sensitive. Closed session.
I would imagine we're going upstairs.
Okay.
Director Lenny, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go through roll call again really quickly. Director Chan?
Here.
Director Coleman?
Present.
Director Lenny?
Here?
Director McIntosh?
here.
Director Patterson?
Present?
Director Young?
Here.
President Katz?
Here.
Okay.
We move to public comment. If members of the public are online and wish to make public comment, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. Comments on non-agenda items will be heard at the beginning of the meeting. Comments on agenda items will also be heard before the board convenes into closed session. Madam Secretary, are there any hands for public comment?
There are no hands for public comment, but you do have 2 cards for public comment.
I have one card currently, and there is no name on it, and there's a subject matter.
I think it's Yvette
Okay.
Rivera.
Yeah, I believe so too. So first I'll call Yvette Rivera if that's what the card was referring to.
Thank you for your time. I provided the board the Saji Pierce, Ariel Bland revised pretrial scheduling order. The jury selection is this Friday, and the trial starts next Monday after the holiday. I also wanted to let Director Chan know that at the last board meeting, I had documents for all of the board members, and I wasn't able to direct or ask the district secretary to make sure that you got your set when you returned, so I don't know if that happened. But I have a set with me, and I think I'm gonna try to make a copy of it after this meeting. But I have the originals, and one of the items was a substitute for the, a sign for the time capsule that was buried on Monday. I mentioned to the board how some people wrote some items on that page that, where I work, that might not have been the best thing to put in a capsule. So I suggested that that the district put in the capsule lawsuits against the district, civil rights lawsuits, so that in 100 years, maybe somebody could open it and make sure that history doesn't repeat itself. I provided a ruling for the summary judgment of Shante Scott, the Masad Hajro case, my response to Sophia Skoda's determination letter, which was extremely distressing to me to have to write that. And then one thing I didn't tell the board was in the packet, there was also the lawsuit, the Gutierrez lawsuit. And I'm just gonna read a sentence from it. During line number 9, I'm gonna skip the names that were mentioned, but during the plaintiff's employment, Mr. Gutierrez's co-workers called him, this is just, I'm reading from the claim, called him a fucking Mexican, a fucking faggot, threatened him by grabbing a metal pipe and holding it at hip level while glaring and shouting at him, pouring salt and cookie crumbs on his workstation, unplugging the cable, it goes on. So I think that these cases would be a good thing for the time capsule. I also provided the district the 267 pages of the 1,271 exhibits that are going to be used or are proposed for the trial. Last thing I want to say is, at the last board meeting, I asked for the public documents, and on August 18th, 2022, Derek McDonald wrote to the board saying why he couldn't release documents. Well, today, right before this board meeting, I got an email saying that he will. So I think the district should really consider directing his office to look at all of my public records requests and to see if they need to be released. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is George Cleveland.
Good morning. I wasn't going to be planning to be in the room, but there were the technical difficulties, but you fixed them. 'Cause actually, when they were having the issues, I could hear Director Linney clearly. I wish I actually was there where he is, but I'm here. My name's George Cleveland. Today, I'm talking to you in my role as the president of the Reigning Pride Affinity Group, or our LGBTQIA+ employees. Pride Month is next month. It's actually coming up in a little over a week on June 1st. And our opening event, the kickoff, is on June 6th. And I submitted to Risha the personalized invitations for everybody on the dais, the board and the GM. And just want to let you know that our kickoff event is Tuesday, June 6th. It's 11:30 to 1. It's going to be held right outside the boardroom. Our guest speaker will be Janani Ramachandran. I pronounced that right. That's good. She represents District 4 for the Oakland City Council, so she's going to be here. And then Clifford is going to give some remarks as well. I encourage you all to attend. We also sent the invitation out to the senior management team. We have a good group of events this month. We have drag bingo, which I think is really cool. We're going to have what we call a hat making session over at Adeline, where basically we're going to use the cafeteria. We're going to have these inexpensive hats, and we're going to basically iron things on that are Pride related. So they're going to be very stylish and, well, sparkly, for lack of a better phrase. We also will have a tie-dye event on Saturday, June 24th at Oakport. You know, it's interesting. We started that. Now it seems all the affinity groups are doing it, which is great. So because it gets out there to more people. And then we're going to close on June 29th. We're going to have our potluck. We haven't had a potluck in 4 years because of COVID. So that's going to be on the 4th floor in the cafeteria on the terrace. So again, I encourage everyone on the dais to participate in an event or all the events or some of the events, and encourage for the SMT for them to participate, and to encourage folks, managers, supervisors, et cetera, to join us, because it's a really good thing that we're able to do this. And this is our 10th year doing it. So we're 10 years of pride at East Bay MUD. So I'm very happy for that. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, George. We will, are there any other speakers for public comment?
No other speakers for public comment?
Okay, we will now convene to Conference Room 8 to discuss closed session agenda items. We are scheduled to return to our regular meeting at 1:15 p.m. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 regular business meeting of the EBMUD Board of Directors and recognition of East Bay MUD's 100th anniversary. We will receive reports from this morning's Finance and Administration Committees under item 14. Director Doug Linney is participating via teleconference. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Director Chan?
Here.
Director Coleman?
Present.
Director Linney?
Here?
Director McIntosh?
Here.
Director Patterson?
Here.
Director Young?
Here.
President Katz?
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no announcements as required from closed session. And we move to our Centennial Presentations. So I will turn it over to Clifford Chan, our General Manager.
Thank you, President Katz. So turning 100 is significant, and we really should be proud of all of our accomplishments. In our planning leading up to today, it was important for us to celebrate this milestone with the community. So we developed activities to connect and educate the community with the work that we do every day. This included our monthly Water Wednesday webinar series that covered topics like water conservation, our history, and the value of water. We started monthly water walks where we provided guided tours in our watershed and at our facilities. And the events culminated with the community fair at Lake Temescal on Sunday and the board meeting today. Some of our activities like the Water Wednesday and the water walks will continue going forward. Before I hand it over to President Katz, I'd like to thank the many staff from all departments who help with our Centennial activities. There really are too many to list. But I do want to recognize a few staff who were instrumental in the planning and the success of the Centennial, including Tracy Morales, Max Pfeffer, Nelly Rodriguez, Mike Bergstrom, and Kelly Zito, and all her staff in public and community affairs. Thank you, please. President Katz.
Today marks the first day of East Bay MUD's next century of service. Just yesterday was the first meeting of the East Bay MUD Board of Directors 100 years ago. And that means some significant milestones. 100 years of providing reliable water service through challenges including droughts, fires, earthquakes, aging infrastructure, and climate change. We've had capital improvements, including an ambitious pipeline rebuild program, treatment plant upgrades, and innovation that continues today through a partnership with UC Berkeley to build the Center for Smart Infrastructure. Our success is not possible without earning and keeping the trust of the customers we serve, being a community partner, providing an essential service to homes, businesses, hospitals, and schools, creating and investing in a strong, talented, capable, and expert workforce, and protecting our precious natural resources. We would like to invite any mayors or city council members who are joining us here today to say a few words if they are interested. So we understand that we have some dignitaries here today, and I'm pleased to invite up first the City of Piedmont Mayor Jen Kavanaugh.
Don't think she's here yet.
Okay. I understand that we are also joined by Contra Costa Water District Board Member Antonio Martinez.
He does not appear to be here either.
Not here yet. All right.
One person.
Okay. Well, then I know that we have Lily Moser, a field representative from Representative Barbara Lee's office. Lily has been our point person supporting our last 2 years of community project funding requests, facilitating letters of support from Representative Lee for various grants. Lily has been key in getting our congressional recognition for our centennial today. So thank you so much, Lily, for representing Congresswoman Lee, and please come up to share the commendation with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me for this celebration. Our office is super excited to celebrate the centennial of the East Bay Municipal Utilities District. The congressional record is quite long, so I'm going to read a few major excerpts from it. First and foremost, our office would like to extend our warmest congratulations on the anniversary of East Bay MUD's inception. East Bay MUD has made numerous accomplishments in the last century, ranging from the delivery of safe, reliable drinking water, protecting public health, the environment, and the San Francisco Bay. East Bay MUD has grown since 1923 and now provides safe, reliable, and affordable water to 1.4 million customers in Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Reliable water access is paramount for healthy communities, and East Bay MUD has been on the forefront to ensure that every community in our district has unrestricted access. Today, I am proud to say that East Bay MUD is meeting the needs of customers in 20 incorporated cities and 15 unincorporated communities, supporting the $748 billion Bay Area economy that is essential to the economic health of California. East Bay MUD's unwavering dedication towards ensuring a sustainable water supply to the East Bay communities is truly remarkable. They have been a leader in creating vital water infrastructure, expanding water treatment solutions, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The East Bay Municipal Utility District works not only to mitigate and adapt to climate change, but to center historically marginalized communities in the process. As East Bay MUD embarks on its 100th year of serving the East Bay community, I extend my congratulations for its achievement in the past and offer my best wishes in developing solutions to meet the drinking water and wastewater treatment needs of its communities for the next century. On behalf of the 12th District of California, congratulations to the East Bay Municipal Utility District on their many incredible achievements, and thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Mayor Inga Miller from the City of Orinda.
Hello, thank you so much, President Katz and board members and Director Young and General Manager Channon, just for the relationship over these past years since you've all been there. And of course, John Coleman, who we work with prior to Director Young. And, you know, we in Orinda share the mentality that it's one thing to start something and then it's another to maintain it. And to reach 100 years is a milestone that very few can reach, and to show an organization in such good stead. And so it's my pleasure and my honor to deliver the congratulations of the City of Orinda for that. And we too have a very long proclamation, and I won't bore you with that. I think the important ones are things that we've shared with those we work with at the district over and over again over the last 6 years that I've been there, 7 years that I've been there. And it's, really just the shared respect for the environment and the balancing of that with the recreation opportunities that have been provided. We've had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with your organization over the last few years after an earlier time where there were some bumps in the road about communication and the way that the staff under General Manager Chan and Director Young have really just done a wonderful job to help our communities work together. And I just so was pleased by that relationship, and just so glad that you had so many activities to show the public what you've been doing and to show the pictures, because we all take for granted the quality water we have here. And it's something that all of you work for very hard every day. So our greatest thanks and our greatest congratulations. And here is our proclamation. So I will provide it to the clerk of the board. Thank you so much.
I just want to echo Mayor Miller's support and thank you for your support. It's been a very fruitful relationship. We're undergoing a huge project at the Enrichment Treatment Plant, and I don't think that would be possible without the relationship that we fostered with you and the rest of the city over the years. Thank you very much.
I would now like to acknowledge former board members, general managers, and general counsel who will provide brief remarks to commemorate EBMUD Centennial. First, we have former general managers. I understand that we have Jerome Gilbert with us via Zoom, Dennis Deemer, Alexander Cote. Would any of our former general managers like to come up to say a few words?
President Katz, I believe I have Mr. Gilbert on Zoom, and I believe this person is Jerry. So Jerry, I'm going to, you should be able to unmute your mic. Are you there? Is that Jerry Gilbert? We can't hear you. Director Lenny, can you unmute your mic and give us a test?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Jerry, is that Jerry Gilbert? I just have the name Jerry, and I know that Mr. Gilbert said he would join via Zoom. Okay.
We can move on and come back later to see if we're able to.
Hello?
Oh, wonderful. Hello, we can hear you.
Yes, okay, great. I'm glad to have this opportunity to congratulate the district on a great program for the 100th celebration. But I, excuse my cough, it's a rebound from COVID here. I have a brief story. Back in 1980, when I first was planning to come to the district, I got together with Jack Arnett, who was then the general manager, and he said, if you do one thing in the tenure you have here, it is to complete the American River Project. And I focused on that along with some other things. And with the help of Art Littleworth, we assembled a team that helped complete it. And you folks are the ones who are operating the usefulness of that project, particularly in the last few years. And we're most proud of that. And it's one element of a great history for the district. So again, congratulations. Sorry I can't be there in person, but best wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. It's great to connect so deep to our history. We have Dennis Deemer in the room and Alex Cote here. It's so wonderful to see you both. Would either of you like to say any words?
President Katz, I believe Mr. Deemer left the room, and so we do have Mr. Cote here.
Welcome.
President Katz, members of the board, thank you for inviting me. I was looking forward to this day, but I didn't really have the staying power to work through the last few years. It was a pleasure to work with you and everybody in this organization. When people ask me about East Bay Mud, I always talk about how great it was to spend my career here and how great the people are. And then if they're not bored by that, I usually elaborate a little bit and let them know that it's a kind of an organization that's really unique. It is small and nimble enough to get things done. It has a great board. It's got great employees that can really make things happen. And it has sufficient financial resources, and as a result, it really accomplishes things. It's really unencumbered by a lot of the problems that other organizations have. And so I ask that you, for the next coming years, give it your best, your leadership, and we'll continue to accomplish all the things that we see in all the brochures, documentaries, videos about this organization. So thank you. Take care.
And thank you for your service in leading us to the years up to your retirement. We're also joined by former General Counsel Bob Helwick.
I just want to congratulate the district on achieving 100 years of history. That's such an impressive milestone. And I personally was very happy to have spent 30 years of my career here at the district. It was a remarkable experience working with such a talented staff, such a congenial teamwork staff. And I always appreciated the support of the board of directors. It's delightful to see former board members here today and to see many of you who I had the pleasure to work with. Keep up the good work. And I'm also very pleased that you're making use of the Freeport project because most of the years I spent here were on that project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. It's also very exciting to see so many former board members with us. We have Helen Burke, Mary Selkirk, Nancy Nadell, Stuart Flashman, Danny Wan, and Andy Cohen, all here. We were also joined yesterday by John Joya at our time capsule burying event. I would like to invite our former board members who are joining us today, one by one, or as a group if you choose, to come up to the mic and say a few words.
Good afternoon. I'm afraid I'm going to be a little more long-winded than the others have been very pithy in their remarks, but I'm going to be a little more windy. We're here today to celebrate EBMUD's 100th birthday. 100 years ago today, the voters of the East Bay voted to establish EBMUD, and EBMUD has had a long and proud history of reliably and efficiently serving high-quality snowmelt water to East Bay residents and businesses. Each of us former directors has our own view of this legacy and the small role we played in EBMUD's history. I came along to cause what John Lewis might call good trouble, although some might dispute the adjective. As the first woman and environmentalist elected to the board on November 5th, 1974, I ushered in a new era of diversity on the board. Many distinguished women followed, some of whom you see here today. Mary Warren, Nancy Nadell, Catherine McKinney, Mary Selkirk, Lisa McIntosh, Katie Folks, and now April Chan. Ken Simmons, an architecture professor at UC Berkeley, was the first African American to be elected to the board, followed by Bill Patterson and Lisa McIntosh. Danny Wan was the first Chinese American board member, and now he tells me he tries to run the Port of Oakland. And of course, now we welcome April Chan to the board. I was also the first in a long line of environmentalist board members who felt water is a precious resource that should be conserved and protected, including Andy Cohen, Andy Katz, Nancy Nadell, Mary Selkirk, Marguerite Young, Stu Flashman, Catherine McKinney, and Doug Linney. When I got on the board, I found other board members, mostly conservative businessmen, sensed the changing times, more women running for office, more boards opening up to greater transparency and a community perspective, more openness to environmental thinking. my suggestions on some issues, like having written board minutes available to the public, having informative agendas, and holding occasional nighttime meetings, were readily supported by board and staff. Even water conservation was not opposed in concept. However, initially, on an environmental issue, I was likely to end up on the losing end of a 6-1 vote. The hardest issue I faced was getting developers to pay the full cost of new development, such as mainline extensions, pumping plants, and distribution reservoirs. When I first came on the board, new development was ultimately 100% subsidized by the ratepayers. It took 12 years, but eventually EBMUD adopted a full cost approach to new development that remains to this day. I also championed establishing a pumping surcharge and a so-called lifeline rate, as well as an inclining block rate structure where the more you use, the more you pay per unit, thereby encouraging conservation. Ultimately, the board passed all three. In the area of women's rights, I initiated preparing an affirmative action plan when I first came on the board, and the idea of comparable pay for women. In the 80s, I opposed construction of the Buckhorn Dam and Reservoir. Ultimately, the board agreed with me when a ballot measure just squeaked by. This created the need for more water conservation in planning future water supply. The important thing here is that the district has grown and developed with the times, a big reason it's been so successful. When I came, the message that saving water was a way to expand supply rather than relying mainly on capital projects like dams and reservoirs was about as popular as a lace bath mat. The district had been built on the idea that more was better, that the East Bay, to meet its full potential, had to continue to grow. That philosophy was appropriate for earlier times and establishment of the district. But when I came along in the 1990s, unlimited growth was no longer the be-all and end-all. Aldo Leopold, Paul Ehrlich, and the Club of Rome and others pointed out how natural resources were limited and how we needed to husband them. That became my mantra: use water less now, save it for the future. Then the big drought of 1975 hit and underscored the need for water conservation. I remember directors and staff working out the details of an allocation system to ration water. I think it was initially 280 gallons per household. That essentially eliminated any landscape watering. EBMUD wheeled state water through its pipes across the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge to a very dry Marin Municipal Water District in a creative regional water transfer arrangement. Since EBMUD took some of its supplemental American water during that drought, it was clear that EBMUD needed something permanent, and the idea of the Freeport Regional Water Project with Sacramento, which allows EBMUD to take up to 100 million gallons a year during dry years, was born. Yes, the reservoirs are full now, and flooding from the spring snowmelt is starting to hit. It's time to roll back last year's restrictions, but experts tell us that with climate change, we're in for a long-term drought situation. So the need for conserving water continues. I feel privileged to have served on the board and had a small role in moving it toward more environmentally and socially friendly policies. I'm proud of EBMUD. The board supported inclusion of the McCollum River in the Wild and Scenic River system. I was glad the board did not raise Pardee Dam, and the district has come a long way in managing groundwater supply. Maybe even conjunctive use is around the corner. EBMUD is known for its aggressive water conservation program and as a well-run utility. Since retirement, I've weeded non-native plants in Skyline Gardens, a joint project at East Bay MUD and the California Native Plant Society. I worked on EBMUD's most recent watershed plan update and serve as standby officer for Ward 4. It feels like the wheel has come full circle. With climate change facing the district in the next 100 years, conservation is still a byword. Congratulations, East Bay MUD. Here's to another 100 years, your second 100 years. Thank you.
I think you'll probably just see the top of my head, if anything, on this on the screen.
Get a little closer to the mic, please.
Hello to Doug Linney, my director. Okay, thanks. There I am. Thank you, dear. Thanks so much. I just wanted to thank you all for inviting me today. I'm honored to have served 8 years on the board to continue the flow of high-quality water to our customers. I was inspired to run by watching Helen Burke be the only environmental voice on the board, and I decided that I really wanted to do it. My husband and I had commitments to community work. He said I wasn't doing my share, he wasn't doing his share of childcare, so we worked that out, and I ran for office. And my dear deceased husband, Chappelle Hayes, helped me, Stu, Andy, and Catherine to get elected and form an environmental majority, after which I became the first woman president of the board. We're missing my colleague and friend, Catherine McKenney, who served with us, but sadly died a year ago, January. Together, we developed a beautiful mission statement that you can see in the lobby. We stopped the ill-conceived Buckhorn Dam project and enriched the conservation goals. As Helen said, we have years ahead of us where conservation is going to be even more important, and climate change should be uppermost in our thoughts. I'm also very proud of the special employment program that I worked on with Ken Simmons. I hope that's continuing, and encouraging the recruitment of women in non-traditional jobs. I understand EBMUD still needs a little work in that latter regard, as well as assuring pay equity, so please keep that in mind. I'm happy to see the current board has the same concerns and commitment to protect the environment, and I hope the other issues I mentioned as well. I thank you all for your wonderful work, and happy anniversary.
Hello, everyone. I don't think I've ever stood at this side of the dais before. Anyway, I'm Mary Selkirk. I served on the board in the late 1990s, as many of you know. Congratulations to all of you for a phenomenal commemorative moment for East Bay Mud. I wanted to say just a few words that as a whitewater river runner for close to the last 50 years, and I would say an environmental activist for almost as long, I have been deeply honored, was deeply honored to serve on the East Bay Mud Board for Ward 4 in the mid to the late 90s. I was proud to be among the board majority in 1995 that for the first time instituted inclining tiered water rates to encourage conservation, not without a bit of controversy, as some of you will remember. And I wanted to extend my personal gratitude to all of those directors after me who've worked so hard to obtain wild and scenic river status for the McCollum. And I did want to mention that I did my very first Eskimo roll in my whitewater kayak on the McCollum in 1974. And I'm now very much looking forward to sharing the river with my 2 tiny little grandsons. So thank you to all of you as the board and also the incredibly talented staff of this organization over the years who've worked tirelessly to protect the river, who have strived to provide the purest drinking water to all EBMUD customers, and I include myself, while also holding the district to the highest environmental values as we all face a warming and a changing planet. So finally, I want to just directly extend my gratitude to all of the dedicated East Bay Mud staff who are true public servants in the best sense of the word. So thank you to all and congratulations.
Good afternoon, Stuart Flashman, and I was on the board with several of the other board members who are here this afternoon from 1990 to 1994. Excuse me. And thinking about it, first off, I want to congratulate you and both you, the board, you, the general manager, the general counsel, and all of the East Bay Mud staff for doing a tremendous job in the district and providing the water and wastewater treatment that we need for this whole East Bay area. I noticed that you have the East Bay Mud mission statement on the wall here, and that was done while I was on the board. And I have to say, Nancy Nadell really took the lead in creating that mission statement, and I believe it's a very good mission statement, and then what East Bay Mud is still trying to very faithfully control and implement. I was at the event you had yesterday at Lake Temescal and talked to a number of East Bay Mud employees, and I was really pleased at how sincere they were in their wanting to do the right thing and wanting to work hard and their appreciation of the district. So I think you should be proud of your workforce here. As far as what East Bay Mud does, I think East Bay Mud is still doing what it was set out to do back in 1923, and that is to provide water service to the East Bay area. And the nature of what one has to do that has changed over the years. And one of the things I watched yesterday at the East Bay Mud Fair was a video that's been produced to honor the 100th year of East Bay Mud. I thought that was a wonderful video. I thought one thing that I really appreciated in that video was East Bay Mud taking responsibility and taking basically admitting to things that maybe weren't done quite the way they would have been done if they were being done now. The fact that there were many thousands of Chinese workers that worked on building the dam, Pardee Dam, and some of them died there during that construction and were paid pittance, is something that we would like to have done better, I think. If we were doing it now, we wouldn't be doing it that way. I think there are other things that we can look back on and say, for its time, that was good. We can do better now. That's something I think East Bay Mud needs to keep under its hat, is that we can always be looking to do better than we have in the past. We can be proud of our past, but we should try and be even prouder of our future. What East Bay Mud was about then and is about now is providing water, but what that means is different now than it was then. Then it meant building the aqueducts and building the Pardee Dam. They were necessary. At this point, though, we can say that there was a lot of carbon dioxide produced by building that dam and building those aqueducts, and have contributed, in maybe not a very huge way, but a significant way, to the problems we have now with climate change because of how much CO2 is produced. I think we need to be trying to look at ways of producing less CO2, doing things in a more economically and environmentally sensitive way. I think one of the things that East Bay Mud is now doing, and I talked to Marguerite about this a little before this meeting, was the groundwater storage, the conjunctive use project that's going forward in the San Joaquin Valley, which I'm proud to have had a role in getting started. And I think that's a wave of the future, that we shouldn't be building dams anymore. We can do much better by storing the water underground and sharing it with our neighbors to our east. And we can do better in terms of making our relations with those people in the Central Valley better. A lot of them, I know when I was negotiating about the groundwater use, there was a lot of hurt feelings going back, way back to when the aqueducts were built and the dam was built. I think we can try and work on restoring those good feelings between us so we can all be working together towards a united future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I hadn't planned to speak today. When I was a board member, East Bay Mud's board meetings were not known for their brevity, and I thought the biggest contribution I could make to the Centennial celebration would be to keep my mouth shut. But like my former fellow board member, Stu Flashman, I thought I shouldn't waste this opportunity to say something about policy to an important East Bay institution. The first thing I wanted to say was to thank East Bay Mud. Since I was a board member, I've spent much of my time as a scientist and an organizer working on issues related to invasive species and the problems that they cause. They're of concern to water districts because there are invasive species like quagga and zebra mussels that interfere with the delivery of water supply, and there are also the introduction of human diseases that get into water systems, and so that's always been of concern to water agencies. And East Bay Mud has been very helpful over the years in a number of different ways. We've been able to work together. Most recently, last year, East Bay Mud signed a letter along with 179 other organizations and agencies and Native American tribes, trying to persuade EPA to regulate ballast water under the Clean Water Act as it was supposed to have done starting 51 years ago. When the Clean Water Act was passed, we haven't gotten there yet, but we're still working on that. And I was glad to have East Bay MUD's signature on that letter last year. The other thing I wanted to mention came to my mind because of seeing John Coleman here. John and I were on the board together, what feels like a lifetime ago to me and must to John by now. And we served during that time on an infrastructure committee. And I came into East Bay MUD. This was a few years after the Loma Prieta earthquake, and spurred perhaps by having a major professor who was a geology professor and her teaching us about earthquake issues and seismic issues around the East Bay. We began an investigation into the weakness in terms of earthquakes of the East Bay MUD delivery system. And John and I had somewhat different views on it initially, but we managed to work together over those years on bringing this through. Initially, the district staff were wary of this. The attitude seemed to be, no one's really giving us a hard time about this. If you investigate it, you'll find problems. Why go looking for problems? But John agreed that it was our responsibility, and the staff ultimately agreed as well. And over those 4 years, we developed a program to review the water system and then also the wastewater system and invest in measures to try and reduce the problems that would occur. We weren't able to solve them, but reduce the problems that would occur in the case of a major earthquake with the major fault system of the Hayward Fault System running right through the district. What I wanted to say is that I've thought of this off and on over the last roughly 30 years since we did that work. It's something I was proud to have been a part of, and I know that John was as well, and the district should be as well. We really led the way on it. One of the things that we had San Francisco, which had just suffered in the earthquake, come in, the water district come in to tell us what they were doing, and they said, well, we're waiting to see what you do. And so we really did lead the way on trying to figure that issue out. And what I wanted to say is it's been 30 years, and it may be time to undergo another thorough review of the water system in terms of what we know about the probability of earthquakes and the strength of earthquakes in the area now, and think about whether there are issues that we didn't catch last time. I can tell you one of the things that we caught, which was remarkable, was when I came into the water district, one of the first things the district showed us was this OpNet system, which is this computerized system to monitor information from the pumps and the pipes and the reservoirs around East Bay MUD. I don't know if you still have the OpNet system, but it was brand new then. This building was brand new. They brought us in to show the big screens where everything came in. People were very excited about it. And that was, of course, going to be our first line of figuring out what to do in the case of an earthquake. And one of the first things we discovered when we started this investigation is people went out to the various places where the information was coming into the East Bay MUD, and there were these banks of, I don't know, what looked like a very expensive sound system of one unit after another unit after another unit on these metal shells with wires hooking them all up. And all of this is what fed the information into the OpNet Central. And those columns of shelves of equipment had never been bolted down. And so the first thing that would have happened, of course, in an earthquake is they all would have gone to the ground and OpNet would have gone dead. And so the first thing we were able to do as a result of this investigation was the district invested in some bolts and bolted those things down. Now, that was the cheap and easy stuff. The rest of it got more and more expensive. But there may be some fairly straightforward, simple things that you can do. If it hasn't been reviewed, I would suggest 30 years, maybe time to take a look at it again. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
Board members and staff and general manager, I just want to come from a personal approach to this. I want to thank East Bay MUD for having launched my entire life and career and friendships. Everybody here on the board and former board members and a lot of the staff members, I count among my friends. And as I recall, why did I even come to East Bay MUD? Well, it was because you sit in Chinatown community. A lot of members here were very concerned, and they wanted a voice on the board. I think East Bay Mud has proven itself to be a very contributing member of the community. And I'm glad to hear the general manager told me that he actually sits on the Chinatown Chamber Board committee. So thank you very much also being part of the community. East Bay Mud also launched me into a wonderful time in the McCalmy River neighborhood. I owned a vacation home there for a long time. Had many wonderful rafting trips. I know that Lisa and all the here folks went on rafting trips, and Doug Lenny and stuff. So that was a wonderful chapter in my life as well. And I think also importantly, it launched me into a career of public service. From here, I went to the city of Oakland, and then ended up in also at Port of Oakland. I think these three institutions is, in my mind, in Oakland and in East Bay, is the cornerstone of our civic life here. That we have reliable water and soil and wastewater treatment that is being handled by very good professionals in a wonderful institution. In the city of Oakland and the port. By the way, the port is also going to celebrate Centennial in about 4 years' time. So East Bay Mud and the port has actually pretty parallel tracks in terms of being institutions in the East Bay. So I look forward to also inviting you to come celebrate with us at the port. And I just want to thank you very much. East Bay Mud has truly been wonderful to me, and I want to personally thank you. And from there, I hope that we continue to collaborate in terms of the institutions I work with now at Port and the city and everybody else. So thank you very much again. You've been very meaningful in my life, and I know you're very meaningful in the institutions in the East Bay. Thank you.
Just having the opportunity to hear 50 years, nearly 50 years of stories of East Bay Mud service and your own experience as leaders of the district has been such an amazing experience just now to hear all of that. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today, and thank you for taking the time to share that with us. I would like to next move on to Community Affairs Representative Joseph Volker, who will present an overview of the resolutions received by the district from federal, state, cities, counties, and other elected officials.
Thank you very much, President Katz, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today on East Bay Mud's 100th anniversary. My name is Joe Volker, and I'm a Community Affairs Representative here for East Bay Mud. As part of the ongoing Centennial celebration, I'm honored to give you a glimpse of the respect and esteem that East Bay Mud has garnered over the past 100 years. Today, I'm delighted to share additional excerpts of some of the resolutions presented to East Bay Mud by cities, counties, and legislators, commending the lasting impact that East Bay Mud has had on our community. These resolutions demonstrate the enduring legacy of our organization. Allow me to point out a few of the resolutions that we have on display here in the boardroom and share some excerpts from others who have honored us with their resolutions. So here in the boardroom, we have 4 external resolutions on display. To your left and my right, you will see 2 resolutions. The large red-framed resolution is from the California State Legislature. This joint resolution was signed by Senator Nancy Skinner and Assembly members Rebecca Bauer-Cahan, Mia Bonta, Liz Ortega, and Buffy Wicks. And it is a beautiful resolution. Here's a small portion of that resolution. The California State Legislature adopted the Municipal Utility Act, the MUD Act, in 1921, which allowed for the creation of a special district to provide domestic water services across city and county jurisdictional boundaries. On May 8, 1923, East Bay Mud was established by the voters of 7 East Bay cities to consolidate numerous private companies and provide safe, reliable water. Today, East Bay Mud successfully manages its water system to concurrently provide municipal water supply, restore and protect the environment, meet the needs of downstream water users, meet flood control requirements, and generate renewable energy through hydropower. Next to our resolution from the California State Legislature is a certificate of commendation from United States Senator Dianne Feinstein. I'd like to read a brief section from that as well. In honor and recognition of East Bay Mud for 100 years of unwavering commitment to providing safe and affordable water to customers in Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Since its creation, East Bay Mud has prioritized protecting public health, the environment, and the San Francisco Bay. As the United States Senator from the state of California, I applaud your many years of service to the East Bay community and wish East Bay MUD the best in developing solutions to meeting the drinking water and wastewater treatment needs of its communities for the next century. To my left and your right, you will see resolutions from the city of San Pablo, which President Katz, you were in attendance to accept from the city council. And then next to our resolution from the city of San Pablo is a resolution from the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors in the blue frame. Here's a portion of what the supervisors wrote. East Bay MUD has been a leader in innovation, implementing cutting-edge technologies to improve water quality and conservation efforts, such as its advanced water treatment plants and water treatment programs, and is a responsible manager of watershed lands along the McCollum River and in the East Bay. Altogether, East Bay MUD has received some 20 resolutions to date, congratulating us for all that we've accomplished over the past 100 years. We've received recognition from both our United States Senators, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Congressman Mark DeSagne, Congressman John Garamendi, including 2 submissions of congressional records by those representatives. We received a joint resolution from the state of California representatives. We've received recognition from both the Alameda and Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors and the city councils and mayors of Alameda, Berkeley, El Cerrito, Hayward, Lafayette, Oakland, Orinda, Pleasant Hill, Richmond, San Pablo, Walnut Creek, and the town of Danville. Most of those resolutions and congratulatory documents that East Bay MUD has received are here in a presentation portfolio that I will have available for you after the meeting if you'd like to see the resolutions that we've received. And before that, I would like to just read a few more snippets of recognition, if I may. Senator Alex Padilla wrote a letter to East Bay MUD where he wrote the following. East Bay MUD has been a trailblazer in environmental leadership. East Bay MUD embraced sustainable energy production to reduce greenhouse gas emissions as a crucial priority for the development of California. Decades ago, and long before the nation committed billions of dollars to remove lead service lines, East Bay MUD removed all known lead service lines from its system. And East Bay MUD successfully spearheaded efforts to remove the lead from drinking water fixtures, culminating in the enactment of the Reduction in Lead Drinking Act. East Bay MUD's environmental leadership is also demonstrated by establishing the first utility watershed master plan addressing water quality and biodiversity protection. A couple more. The city of Berkeley wrote to us and said, East Bay MUD's innovative and dedicated service has played a critical role in supporting Berkeley's growth, development, and environmental sustainability for the past century. And whereas East Bay MUD's water infrastructure investments have been instrumental in providing safe and reliable water to the city, supporting the health and well-being of our community. And finally, the Alameda County Board of Supervisors wrote, East Bay MUD is a major employer with employees working in a broad range of trades, technical, administrative, and scientific fields, and is committed to cultivating diversity, advancing equity, and ensuring an inclusive culture for its employees, customers, and the communities it serves. I'd like to thank Orinda Mayor Igna Miller and Lily Mosser, field representative from Barbara Lee's office. These resolutions embody a shared understanding among our partners and legislators that East Bay MUD's work and contributions have had a profound effect on the communities that we serve. Thank you for your time and allowing me to coordinate this part of the Centennial process. I've learned so much and heard so many great stories about East Bay MUD, and it makes me proud to work here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the staff for all of the intergovernmental work in bringing those resolutions forward and working with our cities and communities. Next, I would like to recognize Director Patterson, who is chair of our Centennial Celebration Ad Hoc Committee, who will provide brief remarks to be followed by our Centennial Slideshow and video. Director Patterson.
Thank you. I wanted just to start by saying how wonderful it is to see all of you here today. You embedded in my memories, not only of East Bay MUD, but you personally and your individual achievements and collective achievements on behalf of East Bay MUD. What I really wanted to do was a segment on my coming to East Bay MUD. You know, I didn't come over here willingly in the beginning. It was the citizens around me in Oakland and individuals who, when a seat became available, asked me to put my hat in the ring. Before I would do that and give them an answer, I had the pleasure of meeting Dennis Deemer. I made an appointment with him, and he walked me through East Bay Mud so that I could learn the ins and outs, the reason it was, and what it stood for, all of the environmental concerns, all of the financial concerns. The past mayor was my best friend, Lionel Wilson. He tried to appoint me to the city council, but Oakland didn't have the resources to carry out many of the plans that it made. And it made no sense to me to stay up till 3 in the morning and not be able to implement anything. So coming to East Bay Mud and Dennis explaining to me the financial array here and how it was back. And he also indicated the number one problem. And at that time, it was the supplemental water supply for water we had the rights to coming off Sacramento, and what we were entitled to that Bob Hellwood could back up in terms of the legal aspects, we couldn't get because we were boxed out by Sacramento County, which was blocking us. I had the good fortune to know people in political quarters. And so when Dennis told me about the problem, and it wasn't the money, it was the problem of getting through the morass of the environmental community. Well, those were our days when I came forward and said, yes, I'll run for the position because the water agency is no good if it doesn't have sufficient water for the people it represents. And because I lived in Oakland and many of my people were not financially in the loop to afford high price of water, and that's what it would be if we didn't get the supplemental supply. And so I said, that's a reason to be on the board. And so I put my name in the hat at the last minute, and unions, every elected official, everybody you could think of wrote letters. John Coleman was president. Even one of my best friends, Bill Mott, who was with National Forest Service at that time over it, had been a former director of parks in Oakland, over regional parks, and over state parks. He wrote a letter to John, and he was just one of the few. He thought I would be good for here because I had the environmental sensitivity, having had all of those facilities in the city, including the zoo, Lake Merritt, which I cleaned up, got grants from feds, and got right not long ago. You saw the result of not keeping up, which is what we say in East Bay Mud. We will keep up the gift that we have and the charge that we have. And that is how we take it forward. And if we talk about infrastructure, that's our number one goal. And I say all that to say this. In coming in, it was no easy task, as Dennis explained to me, with Freeport. John Coleman had been working on this hard and going to Washington and whatnot. having had the contact with almost every political representative from this area, from my vista, working under Lionel Wilson and working in my own right, I came to the board meeting. They took a poll. Danny Wan put my name in the hat because I wasn't even a candidate. He got a second. They put my name in the hat. And at the end of the day, I was the person selected to come on the board. And I came on with the idea of making the theme at that time collaboration and cooperation. We weren't going to be a split board. We were going to get together and we were going to work together because we were here to solve the problem of the people. That's who we represented, not our own individual interests in those. And we met forward that way and went to Washington. Eric Shapiro was our lobbyist. And he said, John and the ones that went before got to meet the chief of staff and some of the staff people from our representatives, but had never seen the representative. When they took me, and they took me to Dianne Feinstein's office, and her chief of staff came out as usual to meet with our delegation, I sent word back by them that Bill Patterson was here and sends his regard from my good friend Rotea Guilford, who was her chief of staff when she was mayor of San Francisco. Lo and behold, Dianne Feinstein comes out of her office and greets us and brought us in. And she heard us, and we exchanged some words together. And in parting, she took on our problem. She said she was going to look into it and she would get back to us quickly. And she asked me if there was anything else she could do. And I said, you can let the rest of the delegation know that I'm here and we want to see them. We'd never seen those folks face to face. And she did that. And from then on, when we went to an office, we saw the person. We saw the person who represented and whatnot, and we were able to tell our story direct and make an impact. And lo and behold, to make a long story short, we went through the delegation. We got through first all the state requirements, then all the federal requirements, because they had to go through the agencies. You couldn't just get it from the top people. But the top people were watching it, and they knew that. And it made it easy to get it through, much easier to get it through. Not easy, because the Corps of Engineers and whatnot, they're some of the toughest people in the whole world. But we made that happen. And so I hold this up to say, my thinking was, if I represented Oakland, I'm the only member of this board within one city. And I couldn't get for my people what they needed from East Bay Mud unless I got the needs of everybody who was involved in East Bay Mud and their needs represented. And that's how we did it. Here's a rendering of Freeport, which gives our supplemental water supply. It is the reason why we have water in time of need. That's what it was brought here for. And we were successful in not only getting it passed through. I remember Bill Clinton signing off on our paperwork. One of the last documents he signed when he was going out of office was that. And it was carried by the Secretary of Labor, who was the sister of one of my best friends. At that time, Alexis Herman was Secretary of Labor. And this is what I mean by connection with people to get things done. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to sit on a throne. You can pick up the phone and call people and talk to them and show them the way. This is what I brought to East Bay Mud, and this is what's carried forward for all the thinking and all the planning and all the direction that they were headed in the beginning. A wonderful agency, and it delivered. It has brought you, in the worst of time, the best of water. It has brought you, in the worst of time, the best that can be gotten in the whole nation, because it rates nationally. It's not a local agency or even state. East Bay Mud is a national treasure. And so I say all that to say how wonderful it's been to be here and to work with different people, to have time to take and share with them and sometimes convince them the right way to go about something, because we've been about the people we represent. And that's the strongest suit you can have. No other agency can claim that. Somebody talked about seismic improvement. We were the first ones to complete our seismic work. Of all of the public agencies in Northern California, we were number one. We've been number one at everything we've tried to do. And I've been part of what's pushing us to be number one. Not making a lot of noise, but being quiet. And if you talk about D&I, institutionalized, now department, I want to just say the gift of this board was finding our Director Chan and bringing him in this office. He's the first Asian American over a major water agency in the United States. You see, we're first, but we're doing the right thing. And in our ranks, we're reaching out to that level. So all of our new intakes, employees and whatnot, are screened, and we're looking for that. We're looking to fill the void of what's been left out. So I'd leave you with that and just say how wonderful it is to be chairman of something that we've had so many people take a hand in and make happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patterson. And now we want to share with you just a brief slideshow and an excerpt of the video that you heard about earlier today, just to show everyone the events at the community event fair and our media event. Kelly.
Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, President Katz and members of the board. So today I was just going to take a few moments to highlight some of our activities from the last several days commemorating this major milestone for the utility. So, there we go. Yeah? Is it going? Okay. All right. So I'll just cover a few topics here, including, what we've accomplished over the last few days and then what we have looking ahead. So as Joe Volker, showed and discussed and read excerpts from, we have a number of Centennial resolutions. Here they are in one place with, a blown-up version of the resolution that we received here on the left. Yesterday was our media time capsule event held over at the AMC shops. It was really a lovely moment, a lovely day. We had a ceremonial flag raising. We had speakers, not just from East Bay MUD, but we had Dr. Kimberly Mayfield, Deputy Mayor of Oakland, speak as well, and Lena Tam from Alameda County Board of Supervisors and John Joya as well, give remarks about EBMUD's history and place in the community. And we had media interviews. I do want to point out that I think we all thought that President Katz's speech was a very galvanizing moment. It wasn't afraid to kind of speak the hard truths about climate change and the impacts that it will have on our community and potentially on that facility. But I thought it worked really well as a call to action for people who were there. And I think that message came out loud and clear in some of the media pickup that we've seen. So I just wanted to note that was, I thought, a great piece of the event. Those, yeah, get me out of there. Please. Is that better? Okay. And so here are just some little snippets, some of the photos. Once the time capsule, which had all kinds of notes in them, mementos, equipment. We even had a fossil in there of a petrified tree and a jawbone of an animal that we don't really know what it was at this point. Too late now. Maybe we kept another piece. And then that was buried, that was lowered into a hole, and then the speakers all had shovels and put dirt on top of it. And then there's this beautiful seal that you see up in the upper right corner with our 100th logo on it. And then we had a group photo. It was a really lovely event. Going backwards in time, on Sunday we had our 100th birthday and community fair out at Lake Temescal. We don't have final numbers on how many people came to the event, but we do know that 2,500 people RSVP, they registered. So somewhere, in that neighborhood, and some really lovely moments out of that event, including Roberta Gonzalez from KTVU News, meteorologist, did an onstage interview with Director McIntosh, Hal McConaughey from Drake's Brewing, and Jim Becker from RCF. And that was kind of a nice way to get the word out about CAP and Water Lifeline and the collaboration that we have with Drake's for funding some of that work. And then here you'll see just some photos of the event itself. Note on the kind of bottom right area, Spot, the robotic dog from UC Berkeley, was a big hit. The kids were just following that thing around all the time. It would dance. I think it told jokes. I don't know. So a lot of fun.
Big hit for adults too.
Yes, it was. The challenge to see if you can push it over, and it could not be pushed over. Here's some more, the Great Fish exhibit that East Bay Regional Parks brought out, some of our staff, the Water on Wheels, some of the fun dancing at the kids stage. So, kind of a nice little collage of little events, little moments here at the fair. The Chinese dancers, another close-up with Spot. Max Pfeffer, who I think is here, one of the impresarios of the whole event. So we are very lucky to have had Max working on that. And I think one last one, again, showing some of our performers on both the kids stage and main stage. And of course, Clifford, I had to get you in here. The lion dancers, and this was really fun. After their dance, the board members fed the lion red envelopes with money in them to compensate the lion for his dance. And so that was good fortune. Good for good fortune. Yes, Clifford. The cabbage. What was the symbolism of the cabbage? You'll tell me later. Okay. Moving on. Okay. So at the event, we had a number of really in-demand giveaways. We had our reusable bag, our tea towels. The little wooden trucks were a hot commodity. Kids were running around with them and so excited to get them. And then there was the elusive custom salmon plushie, which I think we only had a couple dozen on hand. So those were, doled out, very carefully. We were asking really high-tech questions. I think you had to do engineering, answer, questions to get that one. No, you didn't have to, but. That's right. So actually, we will be following up with the community because they were very much in demand, and we want to get those out there. So there'll be more of those in swimming upstream somewhere. Just a little highlight for you of our social media work that we did up to the campaign. Again, highlighting the time capsule, highlighting the Drake's collaboration, and we did get more viewers and reach out of our social media platforms through this. Reaching new audiences through these new collaborations. And then here, I know that box is a little bit in the way, but this earned media, we just did press releases and things like that. And then, they came out and kind of, couldn't wait to do stories, and we had a lot of great pickup, starting even around Earth Day. There was a big feature on, where your water comes from in the East Bay that carried a lot of our messages around our Centennial, around our capital improvement projects, and around our upcoming, budget and rates. So, and then finally, I'll just, I'll touch on the video, which you'll see a very short clip of, I think, here on the next slide. And so the idea behind this was, we had done publications before around, these kind of big historical milestones, and we decided that it might be more accessible to people to develop a video. And so we have a draft 20-minute video that we're still fine-tuning. We brought a preliminary version of it to the fair, and so people could see that preliminary version in one of the booths. And the idea is that, it's really about the system, the people who built it, the people who run it today. It relies on, archival footage, current footage, and we've interviewed many people from across the district at all levels, and former staff as well, NGOs, academics, to kind of tell the story of our water system. So with that, I think I'm going to move over and then hit this button. And that. Here's a snippet.
We employ nearly 2,000 people. We provide great careers. When people come to East Bay MUD, they'll stay for 20 years, they'll stay for 30 years.
We've gotten out into places like the Cypress Mandela Training Center in Oakland. We've gotten to a lot of high schools to do a lot of recruiting. Our goal is to try to get as many people that live within our community to have an opportunity for a good job and to hopefully start a good career here.
We're a big nonprofit, but we're like a city. Every discipline that you would find in a big city, you've got in East Bay MUD. And now when people come and get in to be a trainee or get into an apprentice program, they learn the trade, and then they can step into the job.
So that's just a very small taste. There's, how do I do that? Risha. Yeah.
The CBX Zip Core from Cleveland.
How do we get rid of
it?
it? Who's got control here? I feel like I'm fighting for control. Yeah, that's the next section of the video. That's the, okay, so can I click and move ahead now? Okay, there's not much left. Don't worry.
We employ nearly 2,000 people. We provide great careers. When people
Okay, all right. All right, here we are. So the other item that is also under development is our Centennial Digital Flipbook, which will be kind of a more in-depth historical telling of East Bay MUD's story, but kind of segmented out by decade, kind of touching on the major highlights of each decade since East Bay MUD was born. And again, that we hope will debut in next month. That's the plan. And again, that'll be online-only interactive element. And then following that, we're working on our AB lobby exhibit. We are hoping to try to make that a bit more of an engaging space so that people come in, they learn a little bit more about the district. There's some pieces that might be hands-on. It's still kind of in the early stages, but we are working on a design with an outside firm and, hoping to get that ready and ready to debut at the end of this year. And then, sorry about that. And then, and then finally, employee events. We have the Lafayette event for current employees and retirees coming up July 29th at Lafayette. We're organizing that with UDEA, and you can see the particulars here. We're going to have barbecue, and there's also going to be music, games, and other fun things to do. I've heard about treasure hunts and things like that, so that sounds fun. And then finally, there is an upcountry employee event underway, planning underway for that as well. A committee's been formed, and so hopefully that will take shape soon. And then, again, I know Clifford called out a number of people, but I also just wanted to take this time to profusely thank the folks who really put so much of this together. The Centennial Fair in particular was a massive lift that started, 15 months ago, and, Tracy Morales and Max Pfeffer really led this project, and I thought, did an amazing job. And Nelly Rodriguez was our time capsule guru, collecting all those redwood pipes and old stream gauge measurements and things like that. And then, of course, major thanks to graphics, carpentry, print shop, facilities, and ground maintenance. It was truly a group effort that involved 200 people at least from across the district. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and President Katz, I'll let you close this out.
Thank you to all of our staff and board members, former board members who have joined us here today, and especially to our wonderful public affairs team who have led so much of the engagement of the public, and to our Centennial Committee for helping to steer this Centennial celebration forward. We have prepared a resolution to recognize how in 100 years, the East Bay Municipal Utility District has gone from a patchwork of water companies to the second largest water utility in the state. I'd like to share just a little bit of what's captured here in this resolution. EBMUD was established to replace a patchwork of water companies when voters and former Governor George C. Pardee advocated to protect public health by ensuring safe, reliable water service in the East Bay by creating the East Bay Municipal Utility District on May 22, 1923. In 1929, we began serving pristine McCollum River water from the Sierra Nevada, thanks to the hard work and dedication of hundreds of workers and engineers who built the extensive infrastructure, built Pardee Reservoir, and constructed aqueducts spanning 90 miles to transport McCollum River water to the East Bay. And now we operate and maintain a storage, treatment, and distribution system that includes 4,200 miles of distribution pipelines, state-of-the-art water treatment plants and pumps. In 1944, we went on to build a system to address wastewater pollution and to protect the health of San Francisco Bay and the public who uses the bay for recreation. Now, EBMUD successfully manages its water system to provide a municipal water supply, maintain public trust, satisfy obligations to downstream water users, regulate stream flow to meet flood control requirements, and generate renewable energy through hydropower, acquired additional water rights, and built facilities to draw water from the Sacramento River and purchase supplemental supplies during dry years. EBMUD is internationally recognized as a leader in seismic protection of water infrastructure. Environmental leadership is demonstrated in actions including establishing the first utility watershed master, pioneering water education and water conservation services, sponsoring legislation to remove lead from drinking water plumbing, and becoming a recognized leader in sponsoring a healthy salmon fishery on the McCollum River. EBMUD is a major Bay Area employer with nearly 2,000 employees working in a broad range of trades and technical, administrative, and scientific fields, with a workforce that is representative of California's diverse labor pool. In 2022, EBMUD initiated its first strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion, with an emphasis on cultivating diversity, advancing equity, and ensuring an inclusive culture for our employees, customers, and the communities we serve. EBMUD serves 1.4 million customers, and its vitality is inseparable from the regional $748 billion Bay Area economy and is essential to the economic health of California. The district resolution in full will be considered under the consent calendar. So this all concludes our Centennial presentations. Thank you, everyone, for your presentation, support, comments, and well wishes. Happy birthday to the East Bay Municipal Utility District. We will now move to public comment for agenda and non-agenda items.
President Katz. I mean, our esteemed guests are certainly welcome to stay for the regular portion of the meeting, but if you'd like to enjoy the rest of your day outside the East Bay Mud Board meeting, you're certainly welcome to.
Thank you. Yeah, so this concludes the ceremonial portion of the meeting. we'll still have a little bit of board business for today, and I've saved my own personal comments for the board comments, director comments portion at the end, and others may do so too. So we move to public comment. If members of the public are online and wish to speak on agenda or non-agenda items, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. And comments on non-agenda items will be heard now. Comments on agenda items will be heard when the item is up for consideration. Madam Secretary, are there any public comments online?
We have one hand for public comment. Lana Coleman. Just one moment. Lana Coleman, you should be able to unmute your mic, and your 3 minutes will start now.
Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, now the time can begin. I see all the dignitaries have left. That's really a shame. It's very sobering what I have to say. You know, two years and 1 month ago, I would have stood up and clapped here in my own home, watching all of that excitement about the 100th anniversary, about conjunctive use and JPAs and meetings with Feinstein and in environmental progress and fish hatcheries and all of the things that I've known for 30 years, East Bay Mud strives to do and does it well. But 2 years ago, East Bay Mud ruined my mental health and has been destroying my marriage for 2 years. To listen to people saying you can do better, yeah, you can do better. Doug Linney, in December, I wrote to you about all of the things that East Bay Mud has done wrong. I have not seen you request investigation into that. I have told all the rest of you, Lisa, all of you, I have told you that 7 members of your team who should have known what the ordinance, the retirement ordinance said, did not know it. They did not read it, because if one reads it, one can understand it, even though it's in legalese that's beyond what it should be, but that's a whole nother topic. I have not heard one of you pause and say that that needs to be investigated. Right now, it's just Lana claiming it's true. I want you to know it's true by investigating it. You will find it is all true. I'm ashamed of you all. I'm ashamed of John, he's not in the room. All of you, rubber stamp. You believe what the staff tells you. You don't ask questions. You don't act like you're running the district. Where are you in this? There's an ethics violation taking place, and you're turning the other way and not paying attention to the fact that you have the responsibility to look into this. It's not related to our court case. So if your GC is telling you that, you got to stop and realize that our court case, that's my court case. John wouldn't join because he sides with East Bay Mud. You are his first love. I begged him not to run again.
You have 30 seconds.
You have his allegiance. There's no question. You need to take action. And at least, all I'm asking is investigate. An investigation is the responsibility of the board because the general manager is not doing it. He cannot do it because, and the general counsel are 2 of the top offenders. East Bay Mud is celebrating 100 years of I don't know what by this looking away. I am embarrassed to be related to a member of the board of directors. That's all.
The next speaker, do we have any other speakers online for non-agenda items?
I have no other hands for public comment at this time.
Okay. I see I have a card from Yvette Rivera.
3 minutes. We're starting
Hold
now.
on, may I lower this a little bit? No, can't. All right, thank you. I spoke at several meetings this morning, but I do want to say, listening to Lana Coleman, it's heartbreaking because her pain is not isolated to just her. It's throughout the district for people that have watched this board of directors, I've said it before, put their hand on the broom that sweeps everything under the rug. I had 3 things that I talked about this morning, but I'm going to start off with a Public Records Act request that I made in August 2022, where your general counsel refused to release employment records. At that point, I said, we may have some George Santos people working at the district, but we'll never know because the district never wants to release employment records. Right before the meeting this morning, because I threatened the district with submitting a writ of mandate against the district for these public records, I received an email from Derek McDonald telling me that, oh, we're going to release the employment records. This board should know how many times I've asked for those employment records. This is the other thing. I also asked for an itemized receipt for over $6,000 of public records that I have paid for. Itemized because I want to know what employees pulled the records, how long it took them. I want that list, but I haven't received a response from your general counsel. So all of that is going to be in a writ to the court. I'm going to go back to what I said this morning to April Chan, that I was sorry I missed her at the last board meeting, but I did bring the documents that I gave all the board members. I actually gave an extra copy to the district. I don't know, did you receive that? Okay, so I am going to provide you the documents that I have. One of them was sign the time capsule scroll suggestion. I know that that happened yesterday, but I do want to say before I just tell you what that is again, that Sophia Skota in that video said people stay at the district for 20, 30 years. That's not true anymore. This district is hemorrhaging employees for a reason. The other thing I'm going to tell you is remind you that the court changed the date for the Saji Pierce trial. May I finish my comment? All right, thank you. And that trial starts on Tuesday, the day after the holiday. Jury selection is this Friday. I just want to end by saying the lawsuits that I read from and the one that I read from this morning, they're all extremely disturbing. And as the district moves forward in the 100 years, in the 100-year celebration of its racist history, I hope the district changes its course and starts engaging in transparency, allyship, and accountability. It might change what's happening at the district. I yield. May I give this to?
I also have a speaker card for George Cleveland.
Good afternoon, members of the board, General Manager Chan, General Counsel, Risha, Secretary of the District. Now, I was thinking about the Centennial stuff and doing some calculations, and I've been with this 28.16% of the time that the district has been around. So I've been with the company a little over 28 years. I'm actually here to talk about something I mentioned in the closed session meeting. Hard to believe, but next month is Pride Month, and that's about a little over a week away. And I didn't have my full notes with me this morning, so I wanted to say that we have a number of events that will be taking place next month. The kickoff will be on Tuesday, June 6th. It'll be from 11:30 to 1. It will be right outside the boardroom. We have a guest speaker, Janani Ramachandran, who is the Oakland City Council member for District 4. General Manager Chan will also be giving some opening remarks at that event. We're going to have some cake and some cupcakes. So people will be fed. That's a good thing. Next, on the 14th, which is a Wednesday, we're going to have drag bingo in the TRC. I'm looking forward to seeing that because I'm looking forward to it, just based upon what's going on in the country these days, which is most unfortunate. The fact that we have something here that's a positive thing is very appropriate in my not so humble opinion. The following week on the 21st, also Wednesday, we're going to have a Pride hat design, which is at Adeline, in the Adeline TRC or the Adeline cafeteria. Basically, we're going to take some hats and affix things to them so they make them look very happy, full of pride. It's a very simple thing to do. We're going to have some sign-up sheets for this as well, make sure we have enough supplies for our attendees. The following Saturday, the 24th, from 11 to 1, that's going to be our annual tie-dye event. That's going to be held at Oakport. That's a Saturday. We'll probably have a sign-up sheet for that too. It's nice to see that this event has spread because we were the first group to start it, and now the rest of the affinity groups are doing it as well, and I think it's wonderful because it exposes everybody to the great talents of our own Dave Correa, the storekeeper. He is a brilliant tie-dye artist, as is his wife, and so it's a great event, and I encourage people to show up. Our closing event is a potluck, and that will be on Thursday, June 29th from noon to 2. And we're excited to have that because we haven't had it since 2019 because of COVID. So it's the first time in 4 years. And for those who attended the Asian Pacific Employee Association potluck, was that last week? I believe it was. You could see that it was a great time that everybody was having because people were together. So it's appropriate, and we're hoping for that. Going back to the hat design, that's going to be from noon to 1 at Adeline, and the drag bingo will be from 11:30 to 1, again, here in this building. I encourage everybody to attend at least one event, everybody in this room, and I'll just close by saying that we're also doing our weekly trivia. That's something I run. Everybody's eligible to participate. You get the answer right, you have a chance to win a $15 Pete's gift card, so very simple thing. And use Google to find the answers. It's not, you can do that, that's allowed. And that's all I have to say, so thank you very much for your time. Yes?
Is there any theme for the potluck?
Any?
Theme for the potluck?
Oh, well, the theme, actually, thank you for asking Director Chan and reminding me. It's as for the potluck itself, a specific theme, no. But the overall theme is celebrating 10 years of District Pride because this is our 10th year as an affinity group at East Bay MUD. And so we're very proud and we're pleased for that. So thank you. And that's all I have. So thank you for your time.
Are there any further comments from the public on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we move to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? I understand that we'll have an item removed. Director Coleman?
I would like to remove item 3, and that's it on that.
Move the remainder.
Okay, moved by Director McIntosh, seconded by Director Patterson to approve consent calendar items 1 through 2 and 4 through 10. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, we will need a roll call.
Got it. Director Chan?
Yes.
Director Coleman?
Yes.
Director Linney?
Yes.
Director McIntosh?
Yes.
Director Patterson?
Yes.
Director Young?
Yes.
President Katz?
Yes. And General Manager or Director Coleman?
Great, thank you. I pulled item 3. I'm going to support it. It's just a question as I was reading it, and I've seen it before. We had it's a bid for $1.6 million for lowest responsive bidder. And we went out to 12 potential bidders. We received no other responses back. And what is our process when we send out rather substantial large bids, and we don't get a response back? What are we doing to reach out to the 12 that we initially reached out to? Or is it just dropped and they don't respond back?
Yeah, so for bids like this, I mean, I think the first thing is to determine whether or not the bid we received is both responsive and reasonable, and we do compare it against what the engineer's estimate would be or the project manager's estimate. So just for this particular item, the engineer's estimate was $1.46 million from a local firm in San Leandro. And the bid that was submitted was $1.49 million. So with taxes, it's $1.6 million. So specifically for this item, In general, if we receive no bids, we will reach out to the various vendors to find out why. Reasons could include, for example, now it could just be a tight marketplace or it's very specialized equipment. So although we reach out to that particular vendor, it's not something that they may manufacture. And it's possible if the bids are too high. We have in the past, rejected all bids, and we would rebid it as well. So that's the general process of evaluating it. To make sure that we do reach out to as many of the potential vendors or consultants or firms as possible, we do not only just post the RFQ on our website, post it in a newspaper, but we do send it out to the vendors or the respective companies in our database. And so that's the general process that we do. And if you have more detailed questions.
Well, I guess this is fine. I understand what you're doing and why. Again, and they came in below bid, which is even better, or below what was estimated.
Or slightly above.
Right, or slightly above. But do we have a process in place when we get one bid, let's say it's slightly above, slightly below, to reach out to the others to see if perhaps we may get a lower bid because somebody, it fell through the cracks perhaps, or whatever the case? I mean, I would think from a standpoint of district funds, that would be important to have all the best bids available rather than just saying, okay, we got one that came in, it's close to what the bid spec was, and we're going to leave it at that.
And maybe I'll turn it to Kelly Smith. Maybe you can respond to that in a little more detail. Or, sorry, Sophia, I didn't see you, Sophia.
That's a very good question. I think Clifford characterized the kind of the initial background on that pretty well. But so if a bid comes in, I'm going to elaborate on your question a little bit. But the bid comes in, there are no no other bidders. We've looked. It looks reasonable. It meets the cost estimates. And your question is whether we would look at other to try to find lower bids out there. So I guess the easiest way to explain that is that would tread on some improprieties within bidding practices because it is a formal bid process. We could, and as Clifford alluded to, we could, when we look at the bid, decide, hey, there's only one. We do think there are others out, so we could cancel the bid and go back out to bid, but we couldn't shop around for less expensive bids, I suppose is the way.
Yeah, I understand that, and I understand there's usually a deadline when to submit the bids, and I guess maybe do all the bids usually get received within like the 24-hour deadline of when they're due?
Yeah, we have a due date of or due time of 1:30 on bid opening day. So some trickle in earlier, but you nailed it. It's usually within about a 24-hour period. A lot of people are rushing the doors at the last minute. So are you thinking, like, are you saying if a bid was to come in late or something like that?
Yeah, if it comes in after the fact, we can't accept it because of the bid deadline. I understand that. And maybe we can't change the process, but I just would like to see how we might be able to maximize the funds that were spent without violating any state laws or bid process laws. And it's maybe something that I'd ask that it be looked at and see what can be done, what cannot be done. If nothing can be done, I'd like to know. If something can be done that's minor as an adjustment, then what would it be?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think we can look at how we can expand maybe the outreach, look into some of that, and then maybe expand what we do after the bids come in, so that maybe next time that similar product or project or something like that is bid out, that we are hitting all the right folks out there.
Great. Thank you very much. With that, I'll move the item.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, we will move to a roll call vote.
And Director Young is still out of the room. Roll call vote, Director Chan?
Yes.
Director Coleman?
Yes.
Director Linney?
Yes.
Director McIntosh?
Yes.
Director Patterson?
Yes.
Young is out of the room. President Katz?
Yes. Director Young, we're holding the rolls open on item number 3. The motion is to approve.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got, that was a yes? Director
That was a
Young?
yes.
Okay.
All right, we move to item number 11, appointment to the position of Assistant Attorney.
First is the appointment of Nelly Chavez in the Office of General Counsel. Derek McDonald will present this item.
Yes, President Katz and members of the Board of Directors, I am pleased on this first day of East Bay MUD's new century to recommend for your consideration and appointment Ms. Nelly Chavez as an Assistant Attorney in the Office of General Counsel. Ms. Chavez received her law degree from UC Davis School of Law and has a master's in International and Labor Relations from Cornell University School of Industrial and Labor Relations. She serves as an occupational health and safety legal fellow for the Western Center for Agricultural Health and Safety, where she advised on COVID-19 emergency temporary standards and other occupational health and safety regulations. More recently, she's been an associate in law firms with an emphasis in public sector labor law and general employment and labor and law issues, including but not limited to assisting with union bargaining negotiations, arbitrations, and unfair labor practice charges. Ms. Chavez's legal experience in public sector and labor employment law, combined with a demonstrated interest to expand her work in areas of importance to the district, as well as her big enthusiasm for joining the Office of General Counsel, make her an excellent candidate for the position of Attorney 1, and we really look forward to having her joining the Office of General Counsel.
All right, floor is open. Is she present?
She is present. I don't know if you'd like to appoint her before or if this is kind of an interview.
We do have
Sorry, I didn't prepare you.
Before we take action, we do have a card for public comment on the agenda item. So I will call public comment. Yvette Rivera.
Well, I first want to congratulate the candidate for getting a job at East Bay MUD. I would publicly tell her the same thing I tell people of color that come onto the district during this climate, that they should prep their resume and be ready to pivot out of East Bay MUD as soon as possible, because this is an agency where your career comes to die. For the past, since 2019, we've had about 5 female attorneys that have quit. The district still somehow cannot locate an African-American attorney in the state of California that will work for East Bay MUD. Somehow, I mean, I guess they're not graduating from Bolt or any prestigious university. I'm gonna just close by saying I sincerely do wish you the best in your career. Unfortunately, there have been people at the district that I told about pivoting that did leave the district, and they went on to better jobs within 5 years of working here. And some people are still here. I'm gonna just wait to see how long it'll be before they leave. But that's all I have. Again, congratulations on the appointment, and I look forward to seeing you, hopefully, for more than 2 years. Thank you. I yield.
So Ms. Chavez is present and would like to address the board. At your prerogative, she can do that either before or after you take a vote on the appointment.
I move the appointment.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice McIntosh and seconded by Director Young.
Yes.
All those in favor, roll call.
Roll call.
Yes.
Okay, give me one moment. Director Chan?
Yes.
Director Coleman?
Yes.
Director Lenny?
Yes.
Director McIntosh?
Yes.
Director Patterson?
Yes.
Director Young?
Yes.
President Katz?
Yes.
All right.
Nelly, why don't you come on up and greet the board?
Good afternoon, members of the board, and good afternoon to my now future colleagues. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very excited to contribute to East Bay MUD's mission and to bring my labor and employment expertise to serve the district. When I started my legal career, I did intend on being a public servant. I somewhat meandered from that in the beginning, but I'm very glad to be back in a space where I can contribute to public interest practice and to make use of my varied skills. Again, thank you all for your appointment, and I am very much looking forward to longevity with the agency.
Congratulations. So for the last item, it's a resolution, excuse me, authorizing me or my designee to execute documents with indemnification provisions. Derek McDonald will provide background on this item as well.
Yes, so as the board is well aware, the general manager has been delegated authority to execute certain agreements within a certain dollar threshold. Separately, there have been various resolutions over the year that grant the general manager the authority to execute agreements and other documents containing in provisions requiring the district to indemnify the other party or third parties. Those resolutions are somewhat of a patchwork. Some of them grant the general manager authority. Some of them grant the general manager or the general manager's designee authority. And not all agreements that the district signs containing indemnity provisions are covered by these resolutions. So as a result, the general manager is required to execute often low dollar threshold agreements that are better executed at a department director or staff level. Or there may even be occasions where we're required to bring very low dollar, very low risk agreements to the board because they aren't covered by an indemnity, current indemnity resolution. So what this resolution does is it has the board grant all authority to assign agreements within his dollar threshold that contain indemnity provisions and to further delegate that authority to directors or staff. And if the board does pass this resolution, our plan is to work together to identify the appropriate district personnel who should be signing, who'd have the authority from Clifford to sign agreements containing indemnity provisions. And then OGC would work to get those persons trained to recognize what an indemnity provision is, when a standard indemnity provision, when an indemnity provision deviates from the district's regular indemnity contractual provision, and when to get the Office of General Counsel involved to review indemnity provisions early. And so with that, I'll be happy to take any questions on this resolution.
Just a quick question on it. When these indemnities are approved by Clifford or whomever, will they be listed in the general manager's report as to what they're for and the dollar amount, or potential dollar amount, so we as a board are aware of them?
That's,
I mean, as a matter of practice, I don't do that right now with the authority that you give me. I mean, certainly if the board would like to have that list, I mean, we can list them out. It could be quite extensive with the number of permits and
Give me a
things like
rough idea
encroachment
every
permits
2
that we
weeks
have.
about how many things like this we do. Just curious, I have no
I mean,
idea.
I can put a general number on, but right now, it's not listed, but if the board would like to see it, I mean, we certainly could add it to the general manager's report.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe it can be added as a memo, monthly memo to the board. How's that?
Is it, it might help to illustrate a little bit about how, what the form of these take place or what the contents of the indemnity includes. And another alternative to making sure that the board gets adequate communication about what's happening, I'm wondering if it would be more informative to understand, or maybe just arises more to find out when the actual claim is made that pays out the indemnity, or
Yes.
otherwise it may not be an issue at all. It's just really in the these are possibilities, not an actual.
And I can just give you an example, maybe right now where I have the authority, where maybe there's PG&E out there and just a data sharing agreement that we have with PG&E, and PG&E requires us to indemnify them. And so there's a memo that's prepared by the department that's reviewed by the Office of General Counsel, reviewed by Risk Management, signed off by them before it gets to me, to be able to make sure that they've looked at that, both from the risk perspective and the Office of General Counsel, before I would approve something like that. And those would be, some of the, we'll call it somewhat mundane types of indemnifications that I would sign. But again, if the board would like to know what those are, I'd be happy to share those. But those are captured in memos and are reviewed.
Director Young?
Yeah, so, we're currently not learning about every indemnification clause that you sign. I'm assuming that we sign lots of them. They're all reviewed by general counsel for any irregularities in language. It strikes me that you have a lot on your plate, and we all know that you respond to emails at 11 o'clock at night on a regular basis, that this is something that there seem to be many checks and balances, in place that that if they're getting, as long as they're ending up getting reported to you, so that you're sort of seeing, this month, next month, last month, what's going on. It strikes me that it's, a good delegation practice. My question is, what's the practice in other, sort of organizations of this size? I mean, is it unusual that the general manager or city manager would be reviewing all of these, or?
So the way it worked for East Bay MUD, and this is captured within the MUD Act, is that only the board, unless the board delegates that, can indemnify the district. And so I don't know how other cities are written that way, but our MUD Act limits that. And so that's why in the past, there's been a number of resolutions where the board delegated that authority. Otherwise, we'd have to bring everything to the board, which would just slow down how we do our work. And so part of this is to allow me to delegate this authority to others, follow the same procedure, and as the general counsel talked about, provide the necessary training for those people to be able to identify when they have to, bring the issue up and say, this doesn't follow the standard language, the general counsel's office needs to review it. But what they would be sharing with staff is, this is the standard language. If it deviates from that, bring it to the general counsel's office. Otherwise, you can sign off on it. And that's the concept behind it, just to keep things moving.
Look, I'll pull what I asked for. Sounds like it'd be voluminous, which we would be receiving, and probably a hell of a lot of work on the part of you and other people to put it together. We need to trust you, and we do, to get that done. And so I just was raising that. I didn't realize how big it was.
No, I appreciate that. And just so you know, it is captured in memos and documents, so when these things happen, so it's not, these things just don't happen and just disappear.
So just to clarify, when a claim is paid out pursuant to an indemnification, the usual memo that summarizes the contracts that are made, or if there's another reason for a closed session memo, it is one of those mechanisms for communication include that information when not a dormant indemnification that's never led to a claim, but those payments pursuant to one, the board finds out under our current procedures.
Certainly, if we had a memorandum on the payout of a claim that was based in an indemnity obligation, we would call that out. I'm not actually aware of any.
Neither was I, which is why I asked.
But that would be something we would definitely explain to the board why we were paying out that claim.
Yeah, I think that sort of illustrates how ordinary these might be, but how less common it may be to actually have it arise into a dispute.
And as the general counsel noted, when it does exceed my authority, you will see it in the BD1 documents, and within the language, you'll see that you're also indemnifying the district.
Is there a motion?
I'll move adoption of the recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Young, seconded by Vice President McIntosh. Roll call vote.
Director Chan?
Yes.
Director Coleman?
Yes.
Director Linney?
Yes.
Director McIntosh?
Yes.
Director Patterson?
Yes.
Director Young?
Yes.
President Katz?
Yes.
Thank you. And just finally, at your places is the latest Speakers Bureau table. And with that, that's my report.
Are there any comments from the public on the general manager's reports and director comments?
I have none online.
Okay. We move to committee reports. The minutes from the May 9th, 2023 Planning Committee and Legislative Human Resources Committee meetings are in our packets. We will now receive an update from this morning's Finance and Administration Committee. Director Patterson.
Yes, the Finance and Administration Committee met this morning. We had the monthly investment transaction report, which was approved and recommended to the body here. The Los Vera Reservoir Expansion Project funding. There was a presentation from their senior civil engineer, and that was also sent to this body with the recommendation. The investment policy review presentation was heard, and we forwarded that also to this body with the recommendation. The sewer agency billing and collection services, we heard that full report, and everybody signed on. That was passed and moved to you, which was on the consent agenda that you've already approved. And that's the report.
Thank you, Director Patterson. Please submit items for future consideration to the general manager. And thank you if you have already submitted your written comments to the secretary. Are there any verbal director comments? Director Coleman?
Yeah, I was hoping we could say something when the other former directors were here and staff. We didn't get to. So I have 6 pages, I have 1 page very briefly. I've been on the board nearly 32 years of the first 100 years of this agency. And I think about it, I'm going, wow, besides being almost half my life, it's a long chunk of the time of East Bay Mud. Clearly, we had many visionary leaders who built a system that now benefits 1.4 million people. And we're glad for that. Did we make some mistakes, as Director Flashman said? Sure we did. That happens. And we learn from those mistakes, and we'll continue to learn from those mistakes going forward. As we look to the next 100 years, we have to plan for the future and be responsible to those who are here today and those who come forward in our area. And the thing that I think is one of the most glaring areas that was also brought up was infrastructure and climate change. We've talked about it, we've danced around it, but I would like to see us actually have time spent, because we're relying on Pardee Reservoir essentially for snowmelt to feed our system. And with climate change, and some years it's going to be, NOAA's saying it could be wetter, but it's going to be warmer. So that snow that we count on right now to melt into our reservoirs, and in this case this year into July, won't happen in the future. And our reservoirs could be inundated too early, and our system is not going to be able to hold what we need into late summer and fall. So I would really like us to spend in-depth time to talk about how we're going to deal with this as an issue. We've danced around it, but I don't think we've dealt with it. We need to be accounting for the economic growth of our area, environmental protection and those who benefit from it in the next 100 years, transparency, admit when we're wrong, admit we're right, and for accountability. And as important, listening to our constituents and employees. And those are the points that I was going to say when the other directors, it was great to see them. I served all but Helen Burke, and it was nice before this to be able to talk to all of them. In some cases, it's been a number of years where I actually had face-on-face, but like former Director Cohen, we've done work. We may not have always agreed when we served together, but we found a way to work in commonality, and we've worked on things since he left East Bay Mud, and this is what it's about. It's making connections, planning for the future, and making something better than what we have today for the future. Thank you.
I'll just say briefly that I held my own personal comment during the run of show, taking the direction from the Centennial Committee, and we reserved a statement from Director Patterson as the chief Centennial focus statement from the board. So I would like to read my own letter that I put into the time capsule, but first I'll recognize Director Patterson for comment.
Hello. I wanted just to say, I believe it would be in the interest of this body, knowing that Diane Feinstein is in her last term. She has indicated she isn't running anymore, and there's a lot of negativity going on. Because she has been a special friend to East Bay Mud, it might be nice to send her a letter, just recognizing her contribution to the East Bay and to us, and opening the door for resources for the people we represent. So I think a thank you letter that's connected to the Centennial going to her would be a good thing.
Bill, what would you think of a resolution?
Well,
I mean, she literally has been our go-to senator on almost everything related to water over the years, since 1992, I guess.
I go along with that. Anyway, that's my suggestion. I think we should look into that because it didn't look well physically when I saw her on TV. And sometimes you need something to perk you up a little bit, you know? I always think about other people.
Director Young?
Yeah, I, like John, thought we were all gonna get a spot, 30 seconds or something during the actual thing. I just wanna say that I feel like I do stand on the shoulders of many of the people that were here today. And especially, I didn't know when the mission statement was developed, but I think that it is like our, our strategic plan, our key performance indicators, and all of the sort of many points of guiding light that we have. That mission statement is actually really, I mean, it helped me when I was a new board member with the advocacy for making the McCollum wild and scenic. I think it has guided us in the work that we've done on shutoffs and customer assistance. It really is, it was written, 30 years ago. It has stood the test of time, and I think really very much appreciate all of the board members who took time and former staff who took time to come today, and hope that when whoever's looking back 100 years from now on the work that we do in this next century, that we can also say that we did take on climate change and led the way to a more equitable water future, both inside and outside our organization. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
I'll say a couple brief, Director Linney.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I also kind of had a couple of things I wanted to just say. I don't know that it's anything different than what's already been said, but at least from my perspective, I've always been proud to be part of this great organization. I think listening to the former board members and the GMs and the general counsel, it makes me have that much more respect for the change that has happened over time. But I also wanted to really give a special recognition to all of our staff on the front lines, whether they're doing pipe replacement or working in any of the various jobs, the many jobs that we have here. In fact, when Kelly was talking about all the people that contributed to the 100-year festival that we had, it just makes me proud that we have so many different skill sets here, and so many different ways that we can find to have contributions from them. And when we think of the innovation that we have, whether it's a technical innovation or social innovation, those are all things that come from the staff, and ideas that they have. And so the staff really needs to get great recognition for that work. And I think, as I like to say, it's the staff that makes me feel proud to be part of this organization, and that we all work together to make things better. I like Stuart's comments about not just taking pride in what has been done, but also really working hard to make East Bay MUD and our community better. And I see so much potential that way. And even though we're a large organization, as Alex said, we're still nimble, and I like that a lot. So sorry I couldn't be there in person for today's activities or for the weekends. I had planned this trip back in October, November. I didn't realize then that May was the big month for the celebration, and I apologize for not being there in person. But thank you. It's been very moving to watch and be part of it, even from a distance.
Thank you, Director Linney. And I share the same sentiment. I was really listening to, as I said, directors who've spanned 50 years, from Helen, who is the earliest serving director, all the way up through. Frankly, a lot of us really represent a lot of that history too, and that combined with my own perusing of our history book. Its name was MUD, leading up to the time capsule event, was really a cause for a lot of reflection for me. And I as we debrief internally and reflect on our own, I think it would be interesting to find a way to collect that feedback and think about what are our ideas for the future. We have a lot of ordinary opportunities for that input through strategic plan and key performance measures and the committees that we serve on and the work that we do there. But I think this is an opportunity to really think about, in this lens of our past and our future, to be thinking about how do we strive to improve as a district as we celebrate the last 100 years. So I've really drawn a lot of inspiration from those messages and as we recognize affirmatively all the really exciting things that we do that help us stand out. That's rung really true to me. I'm impressed at our public affairs staff and the whole East Bay MUD team that put together the Centennial event, the community fair. That was quite an accomplishment. I've never seen anything like it coming from us. And I think that it was something that was enjoyed by many members of the community. We were able to get that message out through the media and use this as an educational moment for the community at large to really show who we are and what we do. I'm excited that we have put together this book of things and some other messages from us to sometime in the future, and that our time capsule event also did carry some messaging too. I'll comment a little bit about the press that covered the event, at least one of the stories that covered the event. But I would like to share the message with you. My colleagues, Director Coleman and Director Patterson, were there at the burying of the event, and I would just like to share the words that I put into the letter. And if any of you have yours or put a letter in and would like to share it with each other, I would be interested in seeing what everybody else had to say too. So I'll read it somewhat fast because I know it's the end of the meeting. But I would like to share it for each other and the record. So I authored this to the future president and directors of the East Bay MUD Board. As EBMUD crosses a century of service today, we are looking forward to the future. I'm envisioning how our East Bay communities will thrive based in part on the legacy we leave to you. Our history is marked by an inspiring story of communities uniting against the odds to build the water infrastructure that is the backbone of our cities. Our reservoirs, aqueducts, treatment plants, thousands of miles of pipes and wastewater treatment facilities were novel then, but are essential now. Meanwhile, our history is also marked by periods of disinvestment in our infrastructure, growing social inequality, and global conditions that put us on the brink of climate crisis. The legacy we leave to you will be a renewed infrastructure to bring our cities into the future. Our achievement of California designation of the Mokelumne River as wild and scenic represents our determination to protect the natural resources we steward forever. Our long-term water supply planning reflects our understanding that as our East Bay cities grow and confront a melting Sierra snowpack, that we will persist in pursuing innovative approaches to supplement our water supply and make conservation a way of life. This year, we made a dream a reality when we injected water into a small part of the San Joaquin Valley, a first step to confront land subsidence before we lose what's left of that groundwater storage basin. We affirmed a human right to water as the first water agency to end water service terminations. Meanwhile, when the hatchery below our dams produces close to half the fish in the Delta estuary, this is less of a success story for the district than it is a warning sign to save the Delta from collapse. In preparing for this time capsule to be buried at a 13-foot elevation, it is inescapable how the collective actions of today's leaders will determine whether global temperature rise is limited or whether low-lying sites like this Adeline Maintenance Center and the wastewater treatment plant face inundation due to sea level rise. We are acting today by eliminating district fossil fuel emissions by 2030 and building renewable energy. I hope the story of the next 100 years is one of climate resilience and investment in the future. I think that letters to the future are just as much about today as they are about the future. And that, I think that was something to really think about at the site that we put the time capsule in. And what I think is, easy for, the news article that was published, which I think actually really did cover the whole message from the General Manager Chan and myself and other guests who are present. Of course, headlines are written to grab eyes, and the headline, I think, was aired on the doomsday side. But what I think it's important to say that the current science tells us that if our leadership globally does the right thing and does limit emissions, that site we expect won't end up underwater in the next 100 years. It's only if we fail, and we cannot fail. So that's a little hard to expect an editorial board to factor into their framing of a headline, but I think the message was clear that we are an agency that looks forward, that we take climate change seriously, and we take our mission of protecting public health and the environment seriously. So I'm really proud of all of our work at the district. I'm proud to serve with each of you, and I am so glad that we were able to package all of this information about our century of service for the public.
And President Katz, I know there's just one more item to close the meeting on, but I thought maybe if the board and I and the General Counsel and everybody can just acknowledge, again, all the staff that the effort that they put into the Centennial event. And I just want to recognize just in this room some of Kelly's staff that really were instrumental. I see Tracy Morales in the back, Nelly Rodriguez, we have Kelly Zito, Andrea Pope, Mona Favorite Hill, Christopher Trito, Joe Volker. I know this is not all of Kelly, your staff, but we are immensely grateful for all the work and planning that you put into this, and of course, all the staff that also contributed. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say I was particularly impressed on Sunday by all of the employees who showed out and showed up and were just, just incredible ambassadors for our organization. It was a great day, and I know you all are still probably have about, wait, do I have even a centimeter more energy to put to the next thing? Because I know tomorrow there's still a next thing, and I just want to say, hats off to all of you for that. I know it was a lot of work. It took the last ounce of energy that you all had, and just so appreciate it.
So each year, the district honors its employees and retirees who have passed away in the prior year. Today, in addition to adjourning this meeting in honor of EBMUD's 100th anniversary and the employees, past and present, who have contributed to the district, we close our meeting in memory of those employees and retirees who passed away between May 16th, 2022 and May 14th, 2023. Their names will appear on the screen while we observe a moment of silence.
You don't have to advance. Okay.
The next regular meeting of the board will be held on Tuesday, June 13th at 1:15 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned.